Howdy! Today I am going to show you my silkworms, how I prepare their tubs, and how I take care of my soon-to-be cocoon silkworms and the soon-to-emerge cocoons. Aren't these cocoons awesome or what? Kiki is going to help me. So first you need substrate. I use one slice of paper towel, but I was out of it at the time and used 2 pairs of toilet paper instead. I didn't see this guy at first, but I'm going to move him to the cocoon tub. So for that, you gently move the obstacles and remove the cocoon. I use tongs just in case my grip is too strong. I also like to grab the loose silk of the cocoon and not the actual cocoon. Put the silky back in its tub. Hitchhiking is not allowed this time. You see those pellets? That's silkworm poo. They do that obviously naturally, but they also do it when in distress, like being picked up by tongs. You see how the cocoon isn't all white? It's kind of see-through. That's why I like to put my silkies in empty paper towel roll or empty toilet paper roll. They will make a more full cocoon faster than if they did what the silky did. The see-throughness will go away with time, but putting them in a cylinder place when they are ready seems to help them make a full cocoon faster. I put the rocks in to put the net thing higher off the ground in case they cocoon without my knowledge, like the other silky did. This cut empty toilet paper roll is something they cocoon into also. It's happened once. The things I have in there are also climbing friendly. If you're wondering about the dark silky, that's one that's about to shed or die. As long as it finds its food, it shouldn't die though. I also have a silkworm container lid in there. When the silkworms arrived, I used that lid to hold their food, but now it's just decor. Here's the finished remodel. I also cleaned the other tub out. I clean these out like every other day or so, because the mold will grow if I don't. I've had a bad past with mold, and I guess you could say I have a mild PTSD about it. I always feel like it's out to get me, and I am overly cautious about mold forming. The empty toilet paper and paper towel rolls I use can absorb water, so once they discolor or get soggy, I throw them away. I do not put water in them, but the humidity can make that all soggy. I throw them away because mold can form and will, especially with the silkworm droppings and food around. The empty toilet roll also heightens the humidity. So if you ever use those in an enclosure for like a lizard or a snake or something else that needs low humidity, just try taking one of those out if you're getting high humidity. I'm going to use a different technique of this setup. Since this one, the poo gets on the food and that's not wanted. Close that up. Put that up there. And that right there. That's my mealworm setup. They're in their pupas right now. I thought since they eat decaying things, I'll put dead silks in there that I had from running out of food. But they didn't, so I'll throw that out before they mold. I thought I saw one move, so I waited a few days to see if the moth would emerge, but it hasn't. I researched if I could help a silk with a cocoon, and it turns out you can. It's just like with reptile breeders. They help the baby reptile in the egg when it's time to hatch in case there's no egg tooth, so the baby does not die. In this case, the moths won't drown. They'll just die, because when it hatches it spits up, so I don't think they'll spit up if they haven't hatched. But if it's cut, they can be free with other silkies, repopulate, and then die, but if they're stuck, I am down a silky and down a chance for baby silkies. So, I am going to help all silkies that are close to emerging. What I do is make a ditch in the cocoon and then use scissors to cut the edge of the ditch. If you're less than 16 years of age, ask an adult to help you. Do not try this on your own. You might be thinking, why not cut the egg with a knife or cocoon regularly? You might be thinking, why not just cut the egg with the knife? The silk of the cocoon is surprisingly strong and you do not want to cut the moth. Plus, you're most likely to cut yourself that way. I found that this is an easy and safe way to open the cocoon for the silky and I. As you saw, I cut the hole bigger and I was careful not to cut the moth. See this black silkworm? It's dead. It's not going to become a moth, and so I'll be throwing it away. This silkworm, however, has shedded and is going to become like the other moths. I cut those 3 too early, but I did not know how to tell at the time if they were ready. Now I do know, through experience. You can tell if the cocoon is ready to cut by feeling the loose silk strands. If the strands are soft, they are not ready. But if the strands are harder and unpleasant to touch, They are ready to cut open. I don't want the moths having trouble getting out, so I'm going to put them right side up. Shining this light, you can see the moth sits on the bottom of the cocoon. They do not grip onto the one side. No matter which way it's turned, it's always on the bottom of the cocoon. I forget what order I do this sometimes, but that's okay. I use the tongs to clear a better spot, just to make the cutting faster. I make a dent. Then I cut the ridge of the dent with scissors. Yes, I'm using safety scissors. It's all that I have. Plus they're small and that helps a tiny bit to cut the cocoon with. The only downside is that it's a bit dull and it's a bit small for my hand. I got the shed out. Carefully cut a bigger opening. Then snug it into the emerging tub. I wanted to show you this moth. It's more detailed than the other moths that I cut open. Here you can see the detail of this lovely girl. You have the bottom, you have the wings, the antennae, cute little face, and her legs. I thought silkworms were just bugs at first. I didn't mind them due to having worms and caterpillars in the past, but the more I stare at them, the more I love them, and even more so with the silk moths. Even if silkworms can be loud munchers sometimes, they're fun to have.